Hello, and thank you for watching this regional forecast for the Corn Belt. I'm Andrew Pritchard, meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. I'll go ahead and apologize for the audio right now. The studio microphone I typically use is apparently done its last weather video for its lifespan. It's just not connecting to the computer today. It's starting to feel like a waste of time, so we're just going to go ahead and get the content out today, and we'll get a new microphone going here as we head into next week. Let's look at temperatures across the region on this Friday morning. We've got a very obvious boundary here. A warm front separating temperatures in the 60s and 70s across the south to the teens and 20s across the north, and it's this frontal boundary that's going to be meandering across the region over the next couple of days, triggering some showers and thunderstorms, multiple rounds of showers and storms, and even some severe storms possible. Now, we've even seen some storms already overnight. We saw showers and storms develop across portions of Missouri, tracking into south central Illinois, into southern Indiana during the overnight and early morning hours. Those continue to move off to the east, with additional development expected across Iowa and Missouri, traveling across portions of Illinois and Indiana during the day today. As we look at the hazards map, it's relatively clear at this point, but again, we're expecting the severe weather threat to ramp up over the next 48 hours, and then additionally talking about maybe some wintry impacts on the north side of this storm system. So here's the day one severe weather outlook, again talking about the potential for some hail as we head through the day today. That hail threat going to be most likely across portions of eastern Kansas into the northern half of Missouri, and then portions of southeastern Iowa and central Illinois during the day today into the overnight. And then it is tomorrow. It is Saturday afternoon and evening that we're concerned about the potential for a severe weather outbreak across portions of the Midwest, especially eastern portions of Iowa, northeastern Missouri, and then much of central and northern Illinois, outlooked by that moderate and enhanced risk. And again, this is the day two outlook. So it is quite rare to get a moderate risk that high of confidence on a day two severe weather outlook. And if you break that down, the potential for tornadoes and the potential for large hail on the bottom, again, we're seeing a 15% hatched area. That is relatively high on the threat here. And that hatched area means that we're talking about the potential for significant tornadoes, EF2 or greater. And then as we look at the hail threat, that 20 or 30%, significant hatched area, that's where we're talking about the potential for hail greater than 2 inches in diameter. Again, the culprit, frontal boundary, meandering back and forth across this region that's going to lift off to the north as we head into the afternoon on Saturday, setting the stage for a potential severe weather outbreak. As we look at the high-resolution rapid refresh, we can kind of watch each round of storms here, or each forecast round of storms, starting with the existing round across portions of Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana early on this Friday morning, expecting to see that round of storms continue to kind of back build through the mid-morning into the early afternoon hours before perhaps giving a break as we head into the afternoon and evening hours. The break won't last long, though, as we head into the overnight, expecting that boundary once again to light up with isolated to scattered thunderstorms. And again, these have the potential to produce some hail as they move from portions of eastern Kansas across Missouri into Illinois and eventually into Indiana during the overnight hours. So this would be midnight tonight. So Friday night at midnight, again seeing the potential for numerous thunderstorms, some of which could be severe, producing some large hail. And now starting to see that snow threat begin to ramp up on the backside of the storm system as we head into the overnight as well. Let's take it into Saturday morning. Sunrise on Saturday morning, right around 6, 7 o'clock. Again, seeing the potential for some storms along that warm front, producing some large hail across portions of Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, maybe even Ohio. Seeing that winter threat wrapping up on the backside as cold air comes in. On the backside, some snow expected across portions of southeastern Wyoming, northeastern Colorado, and then western and central Nebraska. Very heavy cold rain expected across portions of central Nebraska. Let's take it a little bit later into the day now. Heading into mid-afternoon, this is when things get interesting, right? Around noon. Right now, we can kind of draw the storm system in. We've got our area of low pressure right across Iowa. We've got the cold precipitation wrapping in on the backside, maybe switching over to a cold rain, not so much snow during the afternoon on Saturday. But then this is the area that will begin to destabilize south of that warm front. We'll have to talk about the potential for some strong storms. What does that look like if we look at the high-resolution NAM model? We'll take a look at the exact same thing. Again, heading through the day quickly today into the overnight, watching for the potential for those hail-producing storms to erupt across portions of eastern Kansas and Missouri into Illinois. This would be sunrise on Saturday with the NAM model. Again, here's our snow across Colorado, Wyoming, and Nebraska with cold rain extending off to the north. Take this into mid-afternoon Saturday, and again, this is where I said things get interesting. You're going to watch right here this line of storms that blows up across portions of eastern Iowa, eastern Missouri, and then races into northern and central Illinois. that has the potential to do quite a bit of damage if it reaches its maximum potential here, which we'll take a look at now. So let's take some snapshots looking at tomorrow afternoon. This would be about 4 p.m. on Saturday. What I want to point out, we're looking at temperatures on the right, dew points over here. Temperatures on the left, dew points on the right. And notice we've got the cold front kind of lingering back here across portions of central Iowa, back toward the Kansas City area into southern Kansas. But if you look at the map on the right, we've got the dew points are beginning to drop out ahead of that. That's because we've got a dry line. This boundary that's setting up here is the difference between a warm, humid air mass and a warmer, drier air mass out ahead of the actual cold front. This is rare this far east. You know, the dry line is often the triggering mechanism for thunderstorms developing during the spring months across Tornado Alley, across the Central Plains. But to see that pushing this far east with this dynamic storm system is not only a reflection of how intense the storm system is, but a kind of a relatively a good snapshot at how maybe rare this environment is or rare this setup is. As we look at the dry line here, and then you can see the warm front extending off to the east on both of these maps. And again, it's this area right here that we'll be watching tomorrow for the potential for potentially widespread damaging storms producing very large hail and the potential for some tornadoes there. So we combine that warm and humid air mass that gives us a very, potent air mass. This was a look at instability forecast across the region from the high-resolution rapid refresh. And again, a volatile environment there, plenty of fuel for those thunderstorms. And then we look at what's going on with the winds. We're looking at surface winds. Again, very windy day expected Saturday across almost the entire Corn Belt. As you see the area of low pressure right here across the Iowa-Minnesota border. See the cold air kind of wrapping around on the backside, the very strong northwest winds coming in on the backside. We know we've got the cold front right about here, we've got the dry line right about there, and our warm front extending off to the east. Again, here's our volatile environment we're watching across portions of Illinois. So we're looking at the surface winds. We've got strong surface winds out of the south across the warm sector here, across our severe weather threat area. Above that, we've got very strong winds associated with our upper level system coming out of the southwest. So you've got a warm, unstable, ready to lift environment, ready to convect, ready to have thunderstorms develop. At the surface, you've got southerly winds, and up at the upper levels, you've got southwesterly winds. That gives you that turning with height. You've got clockwise turning within the atmosphere. You've got counterclockwise turning within the atmosphere there. Imagine throwing a football, kind of a horizontal spiral within that football, but then you take a thunderstorm updraft, turn that into the vertical, and that's what gives you those rotating thunderstorms, and why this is such a potent air mass or a potent environment here, the combination of that warm, humid air mass and then the combination of very strong wind shear. Again, the instability, that's going to be the question mark. Do we see too much in the way of cloud cover and rain that keeps us cooler across this area? Or does this environment truly materialize where we've got strong instability underneath that very strong wind shear? The strong wind shear is going to be there. Do we get the instability too? So what we're looking at here finally to wrap things up is kind of combining both of those. This is a parameter here which is somewhat sometimes useful at kind of looking at the intensity of the environment here. We're combining the instability and the wind shear, broadly speaking here, and getting a reading here between 5 to 10 here across northern and central Illinois. And again, it's just a testament to the combination of wind shear and instability across the region and the volatile environment that's going to result. So let's take a look a little bit further out, just getting past the severe weather threat. Again, that's going to be maximized Saturday afternoon and evening. We'll watch this storm system track from west to east across the region, looking at the long-range European model here. Beginning on Friday, again, watching for those multiple rounds of showers and storms along the front from Kansas into Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana during the day today into the overnight hours tomorrow, some of which producing hail. As we head into the day tomorrow, our storm system wraps up. We've got the area of low pressure across Iowa, of course, the dry line and the warm front creating that severe weather threat across portions of eastern Iowa, eastern Missouri, into Illinois. Got the cold air wrapping around on the backside, so our snow is going to be tracking across the high plains into the upper Midwest, from Wyoming, Colorado, western Nebraska, into portions of eastern South Dakota, Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, and the UP of Michigan before our storm system begins to exit as we head into Sunday and Monday. Looking like a quiet start to the week for a lot of folks across the Corn Belt. That would be except for folks in the south and the west. We'll see another storm system follow here Monday and Tuesday, bringing some light rain to portions of Nebraska and then eastward over into Kansas and Missouri. This one looks to stay south of much of the Corn Belt here. This is noon on Tuesday, getting into Tuesday evening now. As the storm system swings off to the east, we'll then watch the potential for another storm system to emerge here across the northern plains as we get into Wednesday and Thursday. The details remain pretty sketchy at best on that one, though, so we'll kind of leave the details for Eric to talk about as we get into Monday morning. Total precipitation over the next week, again, much of this from the storm system that's moving through over the next 48 hours. We'll see some additional precipitation down here Monday and Tuesday. But again, here's the cold precipitation, some of which is going to be snow, and then our severe weather threat across this region over the next 48 hours. Probability of 3 inches or more of snow accumulating over the next 5 days, again, right through northeastern Colorado, through Nebraska, into the UP of Michigan. That is the corridor we talked about where we could see some patchy accumulation as we head through the next 48 hours. The evolution over the next couple of days into early to mid next week, again, is going to feature this big storm system getting out. This is the one that produced this severe weather threat as we head through the next 48 hours, as well as the snow on the north side. We'll get rid of this one as we head into Sunday and Monday. A bit of a quiet period Monday across the north and central portions of the Corn Belt. We'll have to talk about some rain associated with this wave that's making its way across the Corn Belt, southern portions of the Corn Belt as we get into Monday and Tuesday. And then, of course, details become a bit sketchy as we get beyond that. But here is the upper-level trough that could potentially bring some precipitation into the northern plains as we get into the middle and later part of next week. So we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at what happens with temperatures then as we go ahead and head through the next 5 to 7 days. And again, we try to see some cold air pushing in on the backside of this trough mid to late next week, but how efficient it is at getting into the Corn Belt, we'll have to really kind of watch. And again, Eric will have more updates on that as we head into the Monday morning forecast period. So just wrapping things up, looking at high temperatures over the next 5 days. Your highs on Friday, again, look at the sharp cutoff here where that warm front is located. 70s and 80s off to the south, 50s widespread to the north. On Saturday, the storm system begins to swing through. We see the warm air advection on the north side where we can see, or on the warm sector, where we can see that severe weather threat, cold air coming in on the backside. We do cool down on the back half of the weekend into early next week, but not very much. We really just kind of knock things back down to where we should be this time of year. Late March across the Corn Belt, especially the northern plains and the upper Midwest, will definitely accept highs in the 40s and 50s, as this would be as we look at Tuesday. So have a great day. Be safe. Pay attention to the weather, especially across Missouri, Iowa, and Illinois over the next 48 hours, and we'll talk to you again on Monday morning.